Red rum. Welcome everyone to Podcow episode 5, Return of the King.
Best title movie ever. Best movie ever, actually, is really
Look,
what we need to say.
I'm not drinking this time. No
Oh my god,
alcohol.
he's eating something healthy, guys.
Yes,
You
Yeah.
should really,
Not drinking this.
you should really take a picture of this, because this is about the only time you will ever see Zach eating something healthy. Is that a pear?
Savor this moment.
That's not an apple. I have an apple. I had an apple. I already
Okay.
ate it, though. Anyways,
So I do love pears, but you know what I love more than pears doing?
what is that?
Beyond Two Souls.
Oh.
Now,
I have only had the chance to play the demo, which I loved. And funny enough, though, it's from the people that made Heavy Rain, right?
yes, Quantic Dream.
I never played Heavy Rain because I didn't own a PS3 up till like 2 or 3 years ago, and that wasn't like when I got a PS3. Everyone wasn't like play Heavy Rain. They're like play Uncharted 2.
They were like play Lair.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I got
Nah.
Lair because I'm a Dragon fanboy and had to play that. So
I was excited for Lair, so I don't blame you.
It looked awesome, like leading up to release, until reviews came out. Just like going from videos of that game, it looked incredibly cool.
it looked like the most gorgeous game I've ever seen in my life. So
Get to fly around a dragon.
Yeah,
This is what the
motion
PS3
controls is gonna be
is.
revolutionary.
But anyways, Beyond. Excuse me, Beyond.
So
is
what part
awesome.
was what part is the demo? Because I haven't played the demo.
The demo is the part where she's in the interrogation room, or one of I don't know if there's multiple instances of that. I would guess there probably are, but she's testing her powers with Aiden, right? That's his name. Aiden, and there's like a lady in the other room, and
She's a little girl.
no, she's like teenager. She's like towards the teenager age at that
Actually,
point.
no,
But
in
she-
the interrogation room, she's
Oh no,
like
yeah,
a kid.
yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
So she's a little kid, and you get to fly around and mess around with Aiden. And then the second part of the demo fast forwards to when she's escaping from the cops, and it's she's on the train,
Okay.
and
yeah.
then goes into
and
the
you
woods.
do a bunch of combat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
so that-
awesome.
That first scene when she's a girl is how the game begins.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played, I think, probably the first 3 hours of Beyond Two Souls. I,
Nice.
as usual, when I start playing a game for the first time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm only just trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actually going to sit down and play. And usually I stop playing after 15, 20 minutes. In this case, I couldn't put it down.
It's
so
so
good.
good. It's
The
so
first,
good.
Just that first instance, right, when you control Aiden, which I get wanting to pronounce it Aiden because that's how I always want to do it, but it said Aiden enough in the game that it's stuck in my head. It's just I feel so maniacal and just I want to just torture this poor lady in this room.
It's
Scare
weird.
her.
It does a really good job. Like, it made me feel that way too.
The whole time I'm just going, so much power.
You take over the guard or one of the guys controlling the computer, and you like have him
Yeah.
like
No, that's the
walk
first-
over to the other people and be like, "Whoa, where are you going, dude?"
I loved because I started to mess with the computers and how Willem Dafoe, who I love Willem Dafoe so much, he's my favorite guy in that game so far. He makes me feel so loved as a child.
So this is the game of blockbuster names. This was when it was announced at E3. It's Ellen Page, Willem Dafoe. Like,
Yeah.
there's big Hollywood names in this game. And I mean, when I first saw Beyond Two Souls, I was very skeptical. I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, I thought it was God damn it! What's the Naughty Dog game that came out this
The
year?
Last of
Last
Us.
of Us. I couldn't think of the name. Whatever. I thought that's what it was at first, but then I saw it and it's like, what is this weird ghost thing happening? I don't understand. But it was, I don't know. From what I've played of it, it's been super awesome. Tom, what did you think of it?
Pretty much the same. What was the computer thing that you guys were talking about? I didn't actually do that in the demo.
Okay, so you go out of the room once you control Aiden, out of the room with the girl, and you go to the area where Willem Dafoe and then the black guy, whatever his name is, are, and you can start messing with the computers. Like you make the computers flicker by
Oh.
somewhat hacking
Using your
it, I guess,
power.
as a ghost. Yeah.
Ghost hacking.
Or possessing slightly.
All right.
And then when you do that, they're like, he's here.
Oh.
Yeah, they can feel, and their colors change.
And it was just really creepy, that first instance of them being wary and like, what kind of mood is Aiden in? And then you can possess the guy, and I just, at that moment, I knew I was gonna love the game.
It's like,
That's so cool.
what kind of mood is Aiden in? I'm like, I'm in a trollish mood. So I was just like going around messing with everything. I tried to break the glass, which I think ended up actually ending the scene for me. Like, me breaking the glass it cut into the end cutscene. So I don't know. I really like that, and then I enjoy, like, so like those people who are looking forward to that walkthrough. Of course, it's going to be done. I'm really looking forward to it, and it's something that, like, I love story-driven games, which, I guess then have played Heavy Rain, but this game is really, really story-driven. And that's just what the Quantic Studios are about, more or less. And so I'm looking forward to playing it and seeing where that goes. Or did they, since you played a little bit, do they explain, like, without giving away spoilers, do they explain what Aiden is and, like, where his presence came from?
No,
Okay.
not as far as I got into it. But this game, it creeped me out.
Ooh.
It genuinely scared me. I mean, I was playing at night, but the lights weren't really on, but there was electronics and another person in the room with me, so I wasn't trying to scare myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, what do I want to say about this? I had to shut the game off. I paused it and said, nope, I'm done. I'm not continuing. I couldn't deal with it. At some point, you're playing as the young girl, the young version of her, and your mom asks you to go in the garage, and some stuff happens, and it's not Aiden that does it. And so at this point, I'm starting to get really creeped out, and I'm hatching all these theories in my mind. And then another part happens after that just, like, I didn't even wait for anything to happen. I don't know if anything happens, but the moment, like, the scene set up, I just was done. It scared me.
So in the demo, while you're, like, running through the woods, I was just, like, waiting for a wolf or something to come out, because I don't know why, but that in any kind of horror element, whenever you introduce some kind of animal, specifically one of the canine variety, that creeps the shit out of me. It's like, but in a really good way. Like, that's the kind of horror films that I really like to see, and the horror, just, like, medias that I like to see, is ones that have, like, the dogs and the wolves and that kind of stuff in it. So it's like running through, I'm just like, if they put a wolf in here, like, oh god, I'm gonna start screaming up a storm. But
so the interesting thing about that scene, like that escape scene, is from what I played. You played a bunch of scenes, right? That was my least favorite scene that I played.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the least favorite scene that I played.
I'm actually pretty, like, I mean, I'm gonna practice, obviously, but I did not have a very good grasp on the combat. Like, I know it's just literally just quick time, but I had a hard time sometimes guessing which way I needed to be swinging my arm or whatever like that, and I got that wrong a couple times. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. I was playing with Corey. I mean, she was watching me play. I was like, I'm a little bit worried. At one point, I was like, I'm a little bit worried that this might turn into guess what the developers were thinking the game, which is not a very fun game.
Okay, so for those viewers who don't know what the combat's like, it's done in a way that you have to move the analog stick in the direction that she's punching. And so she does this automatically. You don't control which direction she goes. If you screw up, then you fail and something bad happens. Maybe you die, maybe you just get hit, and you get another chance to come back. There's also a duck animation that's kind of hard for me to figure out. It took me a while to figure out combat. Before that train scene, there's a lengthy, I guess, kind of tutorial where she's going through CIA training.
yeah,
And
you do that.
Did you play that in the demo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least it was a brief version of it. Like, your, like, kit kickboxing or something like that, practicing or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it introduced, like, from what I can understand, all of the mechanics. So the shooting, the cover, and all of that. Is that in the demo? That part at all?
There's no shooting in the demo.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was in there. Guess what the developers were thinking? So her sections, right, are pretty scripted for the most part. Like you can do and look at different things, but it is sort of on rails, kind of. The sections though with Aiden, you get so much variety in what you can do.
Like when you're on the train, like I was knocking over everyone's water bottles and shit and their coffee and all that kind of stuff. Just like, what the fuck's going on? Just like, suckers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whereas
like,
I was fairly stealthy because I knew that I was being hunted. I had caught that on. I was like, I don't want them to know. I just want to take a look around and see if there's anything useful I can do. But you can also just troll super hard.
like, because I didn't do some of these scenes multiple times, so I don't know fully what the result is. But you can do all sorts of crazy stuff with Aiden later on, and it's so much fun. It's so good. There's very much a Carrie moment in the game. You know, Stephen King's Carrie.
Yeah.
Which is picked on the blood, and then she exacts her powers on the bullies and stuff. That type of thing happens, and it's so good. It's so friggin' good.
Good.
Also, you get the opportunity to drink underage and smoke weed.
Oh, makes all games good nowadays. All the games have the drugs in it. I wonder if Australia is getting a censored version of that as well. If they're even getting Beyond Two Souls.
They're really big fans of the censorship over there.
They're huge fans.
Australia, land of the slaves.
And the criminals.
I mean, it was originally a prison colony, so they're like, we're just happy to have some liberties. We don't need to go out of control with it.
That's why we don't go to PAX Australia. It has nothing to do with the cost.
Oh my god, I'd love to go to PAX Australia.
Because it's a prison colony.
Cool. I'm guessing that since we're doing this podcast a little bit earlier in the day, that we have a little bit more UK fans in here.
That's probably true.
Than normal. So shout out to all you UK fans. We know you exist. We get less ad revenue from you, but you know, whatever.
Scumbags. No, we love you. Come back. Come back.
So I have two things I want to talk about beyond.
Okay.
Beyond.
One is drugs.
Oh god.
Drugs?
Two is FIFA.
Drugs and FIFA.
All right, let's start with the more positive.
By the way, we will be getting to Grand Theft Auto Online eventually.
Yes, don't worry. Don't worry.
As long as I'm leading this, I'll get there because I haven't played it. Okay, so most positive, FIFA. FIFA's so much fun doing.
I was gonna say drugs, but whatever. Okay.
Oh really?
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, buddy.
FIFA. Okay, so I have a Vita. I've had a Vita since launch. I have not played the Vita that much. I have played FIFA on that so much over the past week, easily more than all of my other game time on the Vita combined.
Huh.
So several hours.
At least two. At least
wow.
two.
Wow.
FIFA's so much fun. You know, Tom, you've played it.
Yeah, me and my friend Taylor did drinking FIFA once, where every time you have a shot scored on you, you take a shot.
Oh Jesus God.
Which really should have killed us. That's not a good idea. Don't do that. But it was so fun.
my favorite moment in playing FIFA, I started on easy because I haven't played a soccer or football game in probably 2 years. Sometime in the past. And so I was playing on easy. And my favorite team is Manchester City. Dewey's favorite team is Manchester United. So I start off easy. I'm playing against some shitty English Premier League teams like Blackburn, I think. Blackburn.
Sounds British, sure.
Yeah, and then I graduated to middle teams like Everton and Aston Villa. And then I decided to go up against Manchester City after facing Liverpool and Chelsea. My Manchester United games, I'm undefeated against them on easy. I knew when I had to go to normal difficulty was when I beat Manchester United 13-0.
Jesus God.
Wow. I have a Manchester United jersey, but it's just because my brother got it for me and it's super comfortable.
I have family from Manchester United, or from Manchester. And sorry, go ahead.
Last weekend, I actually watched. I'll call it football since we're dealing with English Premier League, so it's football.
Plus, we have a large European audience right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we were dealing with MLS, I'd call it soccer because that's American.
Sure.
I watched Manchester City versus Manchester United. It might have been 2 weeks ago. And I just studied that game so much. So I actually know most of the players on Manchester City and Manchester United. So when I'm playing FIFA, I actually know the players, and it makes it so much more fun. Manchester City.
As a very quick side note, since we're slightly talking about sports there, I'm in love with the NHL right now.
Oh, really?
Like the actual sport?
Yeah, the actual sport. I watched
Real sports.
I went to my very first Wild game like a week ago. For those of you who don't know, the Minnesota Wild, that's the Minnesota's hockey team. Minnesota's kind of known for their hockey, so hockey is a big thing here. This is my first game I've ever been to. It was amazing. Like, I can't wait to go back. It was so much fun. I found my new favorite player ever.
Bring me.
His name is Torrey Mitchell. He was the person who scored the first goal ever at my first hockey game, and so therefore he is my favorite. He actually scored 2 goals that game, so he's pretty legit. He is still on the team, in case you're wondering. I was kind of curious since it was, I guess technically it was a preseason game that I went to. So
Yeah. The season started, so I'm looking up. Minnesota lost in a shootout
They
to
did.
the Kings.
I watched that. It was sad. It was their first loss ever at a home
Well,
opener.
losing in overtime, though, means that they did get a point in the standings, so
Yeah.
we just have to beat Anaheim.
It's
this
because the reason is because Torrey Mitchell did not have enough play time, but whatever.
Nah,
I
that's
digress.
it. That's the whole thing.
Hockey.
His favorite player wasn't playing enough. That's all. Otherwise, they would have won.
Hockey is my least favorite sport right now.
Ooh.
Oh shit!
And
About
I'm a
cricket?
Minnesotan, right?
Bigger fan of cricket?
I'm talking about actual sports.
Oh, geez, take that, rest of the world in its entirety.
Okay.
Take
World
that, like,
sports.
Britain, isn't that like the only place it's popular? That's completely out of my ass. It could be popular around the entire
India for sure. It's for sure popular in India.
I have so much more stuff to talk about because I just realized I'm reading books again, so I have to talk about that too.
Oh, God.
Okay, so I'm not dealing with predominantly worldwide sports like cricket. American sports. Hockey is my least favorite right now. It's the one that I know the least about, so I know the least about the players.
I still have no
I know-
idea what the fuck icing is.
Yeah,
So it's
something about lines.
yeah. When you there's
There's the two
there's a halfway, there's a center
there's the
line,
2 blue lines and there's the red line. That's the halfway line, right?
So yeah, okay. So if you're on one side of the halfway of the halfway, not the center line,
Okay.
and you shoot the puck, and it goes all the way across past the goalie line on the other side,
Uh-huh.
that's icing.
Doesn't that happen like isn't there some like it can't be touched or something like that or something of that nature?
There's something. I don't know.
I looked it up and there were so many different variations to it. I was just like, I give up.
I mean, when
Whatever.
it comes to sports, I know all teams. So I know all of the NHL teams. I know all of the baseball teams. I know all of football teams. I know all of the English Premier League teams. I know a ton of shit. But hockey, I just don't know the players. So I need to play the NHL games. We talked about this last week because then maybe I'd know the players a little bit more.
That's true. Hey Zach, you know what real sport you should follow?
League of Legends.
Yes.
Duh.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
League of Legends. The
Oh,
realest
so we
of
should
all
have the
sports.
debate of whether or not esports are sports because I don't think they are.
Oh, Zach, that's an entire
curling
video
is
in
a
itself.
sport. Curling is a sport, so League of Legends is a sport. That's
Chess is a sport, isn't it?
nah.
I don't know if chess. It might
I think chess is officially
Okay.
a sport.
But when I say esports are not sports, it's not to diminish it. It's just it's a different category.
No, I think
I mean,
think
there's certainly
sports
differences.
is the overhanging thing, and then esports is a subcategory of sports.
I guess. So if we say
The United States
Okay,
of
okay.
America officially recognizes League of Legends as as at least enough to give visas based on work for esports.
So we
Yep.
know it's work.
It's clearly work. Is it a sport?
It's clearly a career. So okay, I'll buy it. So underneath sports, there's team sports, individual sports, and esports.
Yes.
All right. And then there's some other stuff that may or may not be classified as sports, like
Anyhow, Dewey,
keyboard
SKT
typing.
that might be a sport. It might be. I don't know. Isn't that just like the sprint of esports? That's the 100-meter dash of esports. I think is just words per minute. SKT or that other team that's going to lose to SKT? Which one's going to win, Dewey?
Faker, baby. Faker.
Royal Club
Faker.
is going to lose to SKT though.
Oh, but do you see that heartbreaking video that they released on gotta get on it. It's Tabe or something like that. It's one of the players on. I don't even know what position he plays.
Hi, Zach.
But
Hi, Zach. How are you doing?
it was like on. I think it's their jungler for Royal, and he's saying if he wins or something like that, that he'll get married to his girlfriend or something of that nature. Yeah, it was like, ah, but you're gonna get destroyed by Faker.
Yeah,
So.
maybe instead of having a girlfriend, you should have been a fucking robot that plays mid lane perfectly like Faker, and then maybe you could win.
Zach doesn't watch esports, so Zach has no idea what we're talking about.
Well,
One
he
day.
does
Wait.
if it's the only place that you can get seating at PAX, and then he will sit and he will watch
TSM.
enthusiastically. In fact, yes.
TSM's already out. I'm sorry, Zach. They
Way
were
out.
in the tournament though.
So
We're
there's the argument that the viewers can have here that I hate esports. That's not true. My dislike for esports, if you want to call it that, is the same reason why hockey is my least favorite sport. I just don't know it. But I liked watching StarCraft competitively.
If you guys have watched any of our videos, you know that Zach is planning to get into League of Legends.
Last 2 years.
He's getting there. StarCraft, day 9. That's
Day
the
9.
extent of my knowledge with
I
StarCraft.
still love Day9.
I just like Total Biscuit.
I know Destiny was a StarCraft player, and then he switched over to League of Legends on a very, I don't know, scandalous way.
Yeah, he was on a StarCraft 2 podcast, and basically it was just like, this game is dying. The viewership counts are plummeting. League of Legends is the future. And then, like, I think he just, like, hung up on the call and just, like, left.
Yeah.
And, like, went and started streaming League of Legends very shortly after that.
Okay, let's talk about drugs now.
All right, we're on to drugs.
All right,
So-
drugs.
This is not actual, like, drug use or anything. It's
How do you
Silk
use your
Road.
drugs?
Well, I get prescribed drugs, and then I take them as the directions request. Or sometimes, I'm not even going to say it, because then I'm going to get in trouble. I was going to say sometimes I inject Tylenol straight into my veins. But
Don't put that idea out there. I don't
Right.
think people have even thought of that.
please don't do that, because I don't do it. Look,
It seems like that will kill you. I don't know.
I can't
don't
do
know
that
anything
because
about
I have a cat, so it will not look. It'll look like I cut myself.
but I have to talk about the Silk Road.
Yeah.
Tom knows what I'm talking about.
I know
Dude.
what you're talking about. I read
Okay.
Reddit.
Okay.
Yeah. This was big news.
The Dread Pirate Robert. So people who don't know Silk Road, it is a website, not really a website, but you have to be on a service called Tor, which anonymizes your connection, and you can go and create an account on this place called Silk Road and buy drugs using things called bitcoins.
Well, this is all past tense at this point, right?
Well, there's other options that are still out there. But Silk Road was shut down. The founder owner of it, the Dread Pirate Roberts, was arrested, and now there's just a bunch of like lost sheep just wandering the wilderness because they don't know where to go, because this community of Silk Road had hundreds of thousands of people that were on it buying drugs, and you could go on and buy any drug you could imagine and buy it on there and get it shipped to your home or to someone else's home if you want to try to get them in trouble. and it's like an eBay for drugs, so there's reviews and stuff on there. But it was shut down by the government.
Tisk tisk.
Sad day for freedom.
Actually,
I
I didn't even think about that. Maybe not tisk tisk, but
I'm generally pretty like anti the war on drugs anyways. I think that's a lot of resources that we could be spending on better things, like what if we spent that money on education?
No,
What if we didn't crowd our
we
prisons
don't
with
need
these
education if we have the drugs.
No, well they're trying to get rid of the drugs and they're using money that could be used on education for it. Um but in particular this one is like if you were going to take down anything in the entire world of drugs, why would you take down the one that's completely and totally violence free because it's all remote, doesn't involve people going into like dangerous places at dangerous times of the night in order to buy their drugs, doesn't involve the formation of these like networks of criminals. You just simply ship someone drugs. Like you can't blame any of those other like transitory problems of like violence and corruption on the drugs that were being
So
sold on the
we're gonna
Silk
get
Road.
it. We're gonna get into conspiracy theory here. Um,
Oh,
Someone mentioned education about drugs, and this is another thing that Silk Road did. There were forums on Silk Road, and it was generally all about trying to use drugs responsibly. So it was plans of action that if you were going to use something like methamphetamine, how to use it responsibly and not get addicted, not get to the point where you're destroying your body, to stay hydrated, stay nourished, go to sleep, so then you don't end up looking like one of the meth addicts that are in prison that are like 25 years old, but they look like they're 60. Um, the reason, so this is my theory, of course, because I'm the conspiracy
theory.
theorist. Yeah.
Right.
So the government's full of awful, awful people that should all be thrown out, Democrat and Republican. There's
That's how
no
most conspiracy
political
theories
allegiance
start.
here. Yeah, yeah, that's the starting point. They want drugs gone. Why do they want drugs gone? Because the pharmaceutical companies own them. And the pharmaceutical companies don't want these other drugs out there. They want you to have to go through them to get their drugs. Because let's not fool ourselves. Things like oxycodone are almost as bad as heroin, right? That's prescribed and easily abused. That's legal.
Yeah, like, and morphine is like the same family of drug, most of the same effects as
Right.
heroin. Yeah.
So what's the difference there? You have to go through the pharmaceutical company and pay the prices that the pharmaceutical companies want you to pay, and then they pay the lobby to the politicians,
You have
and
to
that
get
keeps going.
prescribed, so a doctor makes money off of it, et cetera, et cetera.
And the other thing is, though, you do have to deal with public opinion, right? And drugs have stigma around them. Methamphetamine, all of those drugs have a big stigma around them with violence. So if it was becoming out there more that you could buy drugs online and there was no violence associated with it, that could start changing public opinion on the drugs themselves to just focus on the chemicals, not to focus on all of the violence around it. But they can't have that because then that would start being like, let's legalize the drugs, right?
Yeah, it starts to turn into a really reasonable
What
argument.
what risk at all is there to buy weed, right? A drug that is almost impossible to overdose on when you can overdose on something like water. But that's illegal. The only problem is trying to find a seller and any risks that come along with finding a seller on the streets. And if you take that out of the equation and you can just get it shipped to you, why keep it illegal? So they had to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And do everything in their power to get rid of it.
I mean, I think it's probably so. Like, if you look into the actual like news story of what happened with the Silk Road, I think it was more or less like a target of opportunity. It seems like they didn't actually have to pour a massive amount of resources into bringing down a huge portion of the drug trade. So that's what I'd say is more likely. Is just like it was a target of opportunity. The drug
So
routes got sloppy.
so there's two sides to this because it's the DEA, the FBI, right? I don't that conspiracy doesn't hold to them because they aren't elected officials.
Sure.
They simply will just continue to hunt drugs. That's their job, and as long as they're hunting, they continue to get paid. And it was an opportunity because the owner did some really stupid stuff, like put out his personal email with things that with a username that was connected. It was called Altoid, and it was connected to sites like Shroomery and other drug forums that talk about drugs, saying, "Hey, check out this new site. Let me know what you guys think." And that was his only post. So it became like Altoid is the owner, and then that his personal email got linked to the username Altoid, and that screwed him. But the politicians like Chuck Schumer of New York and other like politicians from Texas, a lot of them, right? They hated Silk Road. They talked about it constantly, how it needs to be taken down. And so that's what I'm referring to with the politicians, that they hated it, that they put extra focus on it, trying like with their statements of we need to get rid of this. This is a serious problem. And there's a very good reason for wanting to get rid of it when it takes the violence out of it. Except for if you're the guy that that Dread Pirate Roberts took a hit out on to have killed, that would be the violence associated with.
Jesus God.
Yeah.
So that's a story of Silk Road. Oh,
Yeah.
it's lovely. But it's gone now. Rest in peace.
For now. I mean, I don't know anything about it more or less than the little that I've read on Reddit and what you guys have told me today. But I would imagine it's something. I mean, it's obviously like it's something that's based on like reviews and that kind of stuff. Like you get a bad review, you're not selling or you're not buying anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it would take a little bit to get that credibility up. But I mean, it's something similar, I would imagine, to like the Pirate Bay, where how many times has the Pirate Bay been shut down or been blocked or whatever, and it's just. I mean, it's different, right? Because you're actually involving physical, stuff that's being sent to places. But
Well, okay, so there's no like the physical mailing or anything. That's not interrupted because there's vendors, and those vendors are independent of Silk Road. Silk Road is just that middle ground. So it is very much like Pirate Bay. I think that analogy holds. The difference is, unless something changes, like new information goes out, it was all just on this one guy. Like he had all of the information and no one else did for this site. So with him gone and everything seized, they can't just relaunch it like you could Pirate Bay. That might not be the case, and maybe they're probably just laying low right now if they did have that ability. But there are other sites out there, at least one other site out there that is not nearly as big as Silk Road, but is somewhat similar, and will be growing because I'm not going to say what site it is because I don't want to lead people to drugs online. But
yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like if you hack down one, it's a Hydra. Two heads will grow in its place. It's pretty much a Hydra.
Also, it's totally a business thing because this guy made like $80 million.
Breaking Bad money.
Yeah.
He got that Breaking Bad money.
What just happened was there was basically a monopoly, right, on this business, online drug business, and that monopoly, that company that had the monopoly is gone. Think of the business opportunities to start up something.
How many Silk Road clones do you have right now that you're working on, Zach?
So I realized I was talking to my cousin. I'm like, oh, I could be Heisenberg.
Oh God.
Nah.
I could legitimately be like Heisenberg, and then I realized I'm way too much of a public face of this. I haven't been how many videos talking about it. I can't have any direct involvement in anything like this.
That's true.
I'll be caught so fast. Oh, I'm not going to prison by breaking the law.
Hell no.
I'll just stay on the law side and just talk.
Yep.
And hate the police.
We're just gonna talk. We're just gonna talk. That's all.
Wow.
So that's drugs. There's my drug talk.
Exciting.
Let's talk about digital drugs. Grand Theft Auto Online.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna talk about iDozer.
Oh, the thing that shows you like spinning things on your screen and then you look away.
It's binaural sounds, so it's no, you don't look at anything. You just put on headphones, and it's like this pulsing beat, and it's supposed to make you high.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Speaking of that,
No. It's all placebo.
I tried out this audio thing. I'm pretty sure it's probably been around for a while, but like PC Gamer posted a article on it, and I've been reading a lot from PC Gamer recently, and I don't know why, but it's just like they've been getting stuff right and been having really good information recently.
Does Logan Decker, is he still the editor in chief?
I believe so.
Oh, thank God. That man
But
has a Liam
anyways,
Neeson voice.
they posted this audio thing, and I think I actually posted it in the Media Cows chat somewhere. I don't know where. But oh shit, that just screwed up everything.
We broke everything.
But it was like this like 3D audio thing that like it just like I've never heard something so real. Like they would have cars going by and they'd like crinkle paper around you and like I was like there it sounded like somebody was right there. Like I've never heard something so honest to God, like real life. And I'm just like, I'm thinking, because everyone knows that I'm obsessed with the Oculus Rift. I'm just like, you pair this with the Oculus Rift and then that like trackball thing where you're running around. It's just like, you never ever need to leave your house again.
The Omni, isn't it the Omni, the treadmill thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. That would be legit and awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is cool. I also watched it. It impressed the hell out of me.
But Grand Theft Auto Online, that came out this week.
Grand Theft Auto Online.
And like many online games, they had some very, very bad issues launch day.
Yes.
To the point of you more or less had to like trick the game into letting you online, and it wasn't even a permanent character.
Yeah, I posted a video about it. You might have seen it.
Yeah, that was I don't know. Once it got working, and once you're actually in the game, it's a shit ton of fun. Like it's no secret, at least around the media cows, that I didn't particularly enjoy Grand Theft Auto 5, and it wasn't like the worst game in the world ever. It was a fine game. I just didn't get enveloped into it, and so it didn't like capture me. And so that was my issue. But like Grand Theft Auto Online, for whatever reason, changed that completely. Maybe it's just because I was actually playing it more often. But it was I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm trying to save up all my money so I can buy a nice little condo.
And you don't even have a headset for your 360 yet.
Nope.
Because, I mean, I did a live stream yesterday that is the most fun I have had gaming in a long, long time. And all that it was simply playing with as many of you guys out there, as many fans in the Media Cows crew as possible. Most of you guys have microphones. You're all super nice. And, like, just getting into a group of people together and just doing, like, mission after mission together or running around and causing havoc on the streets. Like, people would run one of us over and we'd be like, oh, fuck that. This guy just fucked with the wrong crew. We are killing him now. And it was just a blast. Like, everyone on headsets. I've never felt like so organically, like, just kind of growing a community. Just kind of ending up in a game and just having it feel like I'm hanging out with the people in that game, and that we have a whole ton of awesome options to go and do fun things.
This is what we want to do going forward, right, Tom? Have that community that we play with.
Yeah.
Because what you describe is what I dream of, something like Star Citizen, where we're playing and we have a crew with us, and we're all part of a group that's... You know,
oh, yeah, it's already
together.
happening. It's already happening on Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah.
We've got 300 crew members. We're going to have to see like who's inactive a couple weeks down the road and boot out more so that we can get in fresher crew members.
I already know like a couple people that I want to add, because like we literally just accepted everyone we could into the crew, and then it's like, oh shit, there's a cap limit of 300. And I know there's like people that I know like on a personal basis that aren't even in that crew that want to be in the crew. So if you guys want to stay in it, make sure you stay active in it and
yeah,
stuff. So.
Definitely. And like, yeah, yesterday at one point, everything was working. Like I could just go and be like, I want to play a team deathmatch with 16 players right now, and just like go to the crew and invite the whole crew, and it filled up like immediately. Like that happened once yesterday, and it was awesome. And that's how it's going to work down the road once the servers have chilled out a bit. It's just kind of unfortunate that it's getting off to such a rocky start. I'm sure a lot of people have already decided that the game's not that fun or kind of frustrating to actually play with people. that is not the case. When it is actually working as intended, it's going to be awesome.
Also, if you're not in the crew and you come up to me and I shoot you, I apologize, but I've been way too trusting already where people just come up to me like, I'll give this guy a chance, and then he kills me. And so, if you come up to me, chances are I'm going to have a gun aimed at you and probably shoot you, unless you like shoot me a message or a text or something like that saying like, I promise you I won't shoot you. So don't take offense to that. Like, if I do kill you, just send me a text in game being like, "Hey, Dewey, I just want to hang." That's fine. If you're in the crew, that's fine. I assume that everyone in the crew does not want to hurt me. And if they do hurt me, it's because they're assholes like Tom. No, actually, I don't think.
Yesterday I killed Cyber Shadow.
I would.
Sorry, Cyber Shadow. It was just a dude named Cyber Shadow. He's not a member of our crew, but Dewey knows him.
I do.
And I wanted to try and sell his car, and then I couldn't even get into his car. It was very disappointing.
Killing Dewey is something that I would do.
Yeah, that's
It's enjoyable.
stay away from Zach.
It's nothing personal, Dewey. It's just you would be a teammate, and so you have to die. Left for Dead. Left for Dead.
Never forget.
Revenge.
You know what? Fuck you and your Little Big Planet bullshit.
That's what Little
I'm
Big
trying.
Planet is.
I go into Little Big Planet 2, I think it was. And I'm trying to learn this game. I've owned a PS3 for like half a month. I'm playing it with Zach, and this asshole's dragging me all over the map, killing me consistently, and I'm just like, what do I do? I don't even know how to stop this. And then I finally learned how to slap, but I'm terrible at it. So
It definitely got to the point where I wanted Dewey dead so badly in that game, I was willing to commit suicide to kill him. If there was lava or some sort of fire, I'd just drag Dewey right into the fire. I love you, Dewey.
It's fine. It's fine. The thing that I freaking like probably my favorite cooperative experience in any kind of like online game is Halo. Like, I freaking love co-op in Halo.
Yeah.
Like, you control the shit out of each other, and it's never really like an issue. Like, I can kill Zach if I want to, or like my favorite thing to do is just start killing the NPCs, so that way like. That's what I've always deemed as like the actual legendary mode, is when you're going through playing on legendary, but then you go against the crew as well, because they're really hard to kill and they ass rape you pretty much. So that's like true man mode, is to go through fighting the crew as well. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. And I see a little bit of that with Grand Theft Auto.
So there's limits on acceptable trolling, though, right? Because like, let's take something like DayZ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dying in that is a complete pain in the ass. You lose your stuff. Trolling's not acceptable in that with teammates. You don't kill your teammates in that.
Well, there aren't teammates, but
like your friends.
Yeah.
Right. Once somebody's deterred, like once you are
you're
friendly with
together.
someone in that game.
Like I'm not gonna kill Dewey. That's just rude. But when Little Big Planet is there, and the consequences for dying are just simply respawning a little bit back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's all it is.
Like when
murder.
When I spout my hate for Zach in Little Big Planet 2, it's all love. It's like, I mean, he's just being a troll, and I understand that. And at that point, it wasn't really that important. But like, I think there's definitely, I think in every game that I play cooperatively, I try to find the limits of that troll. Like, I'll kill someone and then like gauge their reaction. And if it's like they're going to kill me, then I'm like, okay.
Well, was it you and I that did the thing in Minecraft where we blew up the server?
Oh yeah. Oh god, man, people were so pissed at us for that.
That wasn't on purpose though. We just were trying to create a creeper pit.
Yeah, and then that just.
And then it accidentally blew up and like destroyed everything, and then lava started spilling out, and it resulted in my house being blown up.
Oh, this was yeah, that was like when we had so like back in like it's probably like what 8-9 months ago or something, like maybe actually almost a year ago, and we had our MediaCos Minecraft server that was running on a pretty regular basis, and a bunch of our real life friends were in there, and I'm not gonna name any names, but in the process of me and Zach doing this, we destroyed half of like one of our friend's house, and he was so pissed at us. He stopped talking to us in real life and was like
Oh no.
legitimately angry at us, and like it baffled me because first of all, like there's the server reset that you could go back to like whenever we did this, except maybe the first time because we didn't realize that we could. But after that, we'd always like save the server so that way you could just reset it to the point before trolling.
See, that's though resetting this. That's just not as much fun. You got to let the trolling transform the server. Just let it transform it.
It's interesting because I definitely became known for just destroying people's houses. Like literally, if I was in somebody else's house, they'd just be watching me constantly, and I mean that just encourages me. Then I need to find creative ways to destroy your house.
Gorillas Act 2000 asks what I'm lying on. This is a Papasan chair. They are comfortable.
So when my house was destroyed, and I built basically a skyscraper that was made out of glass, it was beautiful. It was gorgeous, sandstone and glass.
Hey, we weren't cheating at that point, right?
Modern.
No.
It was all. You smelt the sand into glass.
Yeah. Come on. Whatever. My response was to fill the perpetrator's house with TNT. There was no other space in that house. Any open space was filled with the TNT block. Because then that was creative mode time.
Yeah.
It's done. And Raymond was the enforcer that we were all like, it wasn't our fault.
Zach is trying to figure out his camera thing there. I think that was the one where I built a beautiful cathedral, or at least I thought it was beautiful. It was awesome.
Raymond had a Pokeball.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Raymond had a huge skyscraper, and then on the top level, it branched out like a bridge out to a Pokeball, and that was his sleeping quarters, and it was like filled with dogs. It was really cool.
There's this because people kept on making those like caricature. How I'm trying to say
caricatures.
There you go. And also like models of like things that like make a Squirtle or something like that. And somebody made I don't even remember what it was, but inside this like ball like structure there was like a cake in there, and I would go in there and destroy the cake and then put a sign saying the cake is a lie. So like that person kept on getting angry at whoever because I was not caught doing that. Although I'm sure most people knew it was me, but
whenever this stuff was on Raymond's server, it was always like I want to troll Raymond, but I know I can't fully troll him.
Yeah, because he'll just boot you from the server.
So I would know he'd be like coming back to his home, and I would, in front of his door, just place 2 columns of TNT.
As a warning.
And I would stand by the house, and he would walk up, look at it, and then turn and look at me. And then I would run over and just take the blocks, like delete the blocks, destroy them, not set them on fire, and then walk away. Well, don't ban me.
Oh, good old Minecraft.
Okay, now I have to talk about books because I'm reading again.
Oh.
So I bought Jurassic. Or Tom, are you leaving?
Yeah, I'm gonna take this. I don't do the books. All right.
He's not leaving because of me. I swear. It was
no.
bad.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving because I have to go meet up with a friend from college. My friend Steven. I do read actually. I'm reading the book Citeen right now. But I will let you guys get to it, and I'll be back. I won't turn off my camera because it'll mess everything up.
Thank you.
But I'll see you guys next time.
The internet hates Steven. Okay, so Dewey, I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
I bought this book. I read a little bit of it, but I'm also reading The Shining. And
I've not read The Shining actually.
have you? I haven't seen The Shining.
What the hell is he showing us? Or something, some weird thing.
So I haven't seen The Shining.
Oh, you haven't actually seen The Shining?
Right.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't even fully get the Red Rum thing.
Oh,
I did not know that Red Rum was backwards murder. That was the point of it. And I also didn't fully know that it was the boy that was like Red Rum. And then I watched a clip on YouTube that was supposed to be just like all the Red Rum moments compiled. And the first scene is just the boy like in the middle of the night, it's so dark over there. Oh God, there's gonna be a boy, and that dark screen that goes, Red Rob. The first thing that they show is the kid walking, Danny walking towards the bed with the parents, and he's just going, Red Rob. I can't even watch any more of this.
The movie?
Because so I'm like, when I have kids, they cannot see this because that's what they are going to do is to troll me. They are going to wake up in the night and walk and go, Red Rob, and then I'm gonna freak out and kill them. It's not gonna be good.
Well,
I did this morning though, Dewey. Because I've been talking to my brother Cody about The Shining, and I've just been like, when I go to a restaurant and they ask, "What can I get you?" I just want to be like, Red Rob. So I can hear my brother as I'm walking up the stairs this morning going, Red Rum, Red Rum, and my aunt's talking to him, and as she's kind of like going, Red Rum, I say silently as I'm walking up, well, not silently, but I'm walking up the stairs as quietly as possible, and I go, Red Rum. I freak the hell out of her, of myself.
Scaring people. For those of you guys who have not, I should read The Shining because I enjoy reading, and I like reading like famous movies and then like seeing their books. But for those of you guys who've not read the Jurassic Park series, you should definitely do it. It's a great series. I'm a huge fan of Michael Crichton. Like,
isn't his name Michael Crichton?
Michael Crichton, whatever. I'm not one known for pronouncing names correctly, so whatever.
I'm the person that if I don't know how to pronounce something, I like have to look it up on Google because I must know. I think I remember it's Crichton, but whatever. It's really well written. Like what I read, I wanted to keep reading. The only reason I didn't was because I had to go read Poe, Edgar Allan Poe, and then I was going to read The Shining. So I'm like, I'm not going to distract myself with Jurassic Park yet. That its time will come.
How that was first read was me and my best friend Nick. We both bought the book, and on our way home from my house to my apartment, he read like the first 3 chapters out loud, and it was just like the best. Like he did voices for everything. Oh, it's wonderful. And it's just like, I mean, if you know the kid, it's just like you know that he did a outstanding job with that. So yeah,
books are good. I'm surprised. What I actually found myself doing with like the movie The Shining, right? Fortunately, I don't do this with Jurassic Park because I've seen the movie, so the movie is the real thing for me, and the book is the adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm going and I'm watching scenes from The Shining just to see purposefully how it compares with the book and like how the differences are, and if I don't know if the book has because he does the finger thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the movie I started watching the movie, and I started to get creeped out at the very beginning when the mom's just talking to the son and asking what he thinks about moving to the hotel for the winter, and then what his imaginary friend does, and he starts talking like, I don't want to, and that started to creep me out, just the finger thing. And then the next scene with him is he's in the bathroom looking in the mirror talking, doing that. I can't even watch it anymore. The finger thing.
To the scary
finger
parts,
thing.
or the terrifying parts, as most people find them. That movie scarred the shit out of me when I was a kid. I saw it when I was like 6, 7 years old or something like that, and it scared the shit out of me. I watched it again like maybe 5 years ago or something like that, and it was like, oh, this is not nearly as bad as I thought it was. But the scene that always gets, do you know the overall plot of it? You know what happens,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
The scene at the end where Jack's out in the snow, and then it suddenly changes over to him being frozen, and it's just that creepy face. That scared me, and it scares me every time because it's like it's a jump scare, but it's also like a scary scare too. So it's just like, ugh, didn't like that very much. That always got me.
And then, so I'm reading The Shining though because of my obsessiveness, right? Because I'm ridiculously obsessive. So I got in my head that I need to follow this newspaper and do whatever it tells me to do. So I turn to books. I'm like, I'm in the mood for a book today, so I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble. I bring the paper with me, and I look in it, and it's talking about Dr. Sleep somewhere in here. Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining, and it just was published.
Interesting.
So I bought Doctor Sleep. I'm like, I can't read Doctor Sleep without reading The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
So I also bought The Shining. And then I opened up The Shining to start reading it, and the epigraph at the beginning, I think that's what it's called, has a quote, like a passage from Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death.
Okay.
And that's like something that inspired The Shining. I'm like, okay, this is Poe. This is a short story. So then I run back into Barnes and Noble and I buy a book on Poe so I can go read that story before I read The Shining.
Well,
But it's
funny.
made me like, I'm just happy.
So like right now I'm still reading the Kushiel series. I don't know. Some people might know it. I don't know how popular it is outside the circle of my friends. But like my friend, it's her favorite book of all time. But oh god, I can't get through the series. I just can't. I've had to restart the second book like 3 times now because like I'll read so much and it's just I don't know, it's just boring.
Oh.
Like there's so many names thrown like normally like Lord of the Rings is my favorite series of all time and there's a lot of names thrown around in there. But in this one there's so many thrown around that I can't get them like I can't differentiate them and I can't remember who they are. And so that's my biggest issue progressing through the book. And on top of it they're all French and I'm just not familiar with that language at all. And so I don't know how to pronounce any names. And normally it's like whatever, I'll move on, but like my brain can't even look at it and be like, how do you even say that? I don't even know like how to begin pronouncing that. And so I have to look it up and I don't know, it's a very long series for me. But
How do you read books?
um
I'm so
give your example and then
okay, so I read out loud.
okay.
Even when I'm reading by myself, which doesn't happen very much. I also like to discuss it as I'm reading with someone, which is why I like to read a book with someone. So I usually read to them.
We should do a
So-
book club. Sorry. Continue.
We should. And so like right now, I'm just reading a chapter of The Shining a day, and after the chapter, I talk about it.
See, that's something that like so I read out loud occasionally. I love audiobooks, but my issue with audiobooks is I tend to do other things while listening to the audiobook, so I don't like get fully enveloped in the story. I like audiobooks as well because it also gives you the correct, or at least I would assume the correct pronunciations of everything. And but for the most part, I usually just read like just straight. Like if it's a good book and I'm really getting into it, I'll just like read. And like when I'm getting into my books, I am a really fast reader. I can read like a 800-page book in one day if I'm really into that book.
I'm so slow.
Like
Like
I should do the chapter thing that you do, like a chapter a day. Like that would pace me really well. But sometimes I need to read more.
I mean, because if it's more of a boring book, like, I mean, boring doesn't necessarily mean bad. It could
Yeah.
mean just like slow, right? The Great Gatsby is a boring book in the sense like it's not a ton of action that's happening. It's so I like the appropriate way to read something like The Great Gatsby is not to read it fast. So like you're reading. The only example that I can think of because I didn't read like a young adult's book where you just read it through. There's no reason to analyze anything. I just get so much more enjoyment out of it. Side note, because I'm feeling terrible right now, physically. So I took niacin earlier. Everyone, I'm prescribed Adderall, and so I take niacin because I read that it was recommended that it just helps. I'm experiencing like hot flushes in my body, so like my face is heating up. So be careful. That's why I turned the light off. Just be careful. Be careful with niacin because there's some side effects sometimes. Not the biggest deal in the world because it'll go away. But back to books because it's my new obsession.
We should do a book club because book clubs are nice because you can read just about any book and have, like, you could pace yourself too, like once a month or something like that. You read a book. I know, like, a lot of my friends, like, in that same circle from the Cucciels, they have like book clubs that they go to and that kind of stuff, and they read random books every month. They're really into romance books, which I don't know. Have you ever read a romance book?
Like you're talking about the women's romance books that are in like Cub and stuff.
Yeah, I've read a couple of them. No,
Okay.
not at all. I mean, I see the appeal and draw to them. Like, there's a lot of sex in it. There's a lot of passion and romance, that kind of stuff, and like, I can see where somebody would like that, but I've not read one that I enjoy.
Okay.
Like, that I would ever recommend to someone.
There's honestly just like there's too many good books out there that I couldn't bother to start reading romance stuff. What's funny?
Somebody said, "Do we read us 50 Shades of Grey?" I have not read that book.
In different voices too. You gotta read it in different voices.
I enjoy reading out loud, but I'm really bad at it. Like
50. Yeah, right.
Zach knows for sure. Like, he's seen me read scripts and stuff, and like for some of my scripted videos, like, you guys will know when stuff is scripted. Like, you can tell. Like, my player spotlights, for example, or some of my Destiny videos, like, all that is scripted. Like, I write it out and I read the script, and it's very like monotone. This is and I just it gets really bad. But on top of it, I make so many mistakes, and so then I get really frustrated and stop talking.
So someone said this is a gaming channel. Why y'all talking about books is in a book club. Podcow is our one opportunity on this channel to talk about other things because it's a podcast, so it's a conversation between us as friends. We'll talk about games because we like games. I talked about quite a bit about games, but I care about some other things too.
Yeah, Podcow is everything.
50 Shades of Grey, I could see myself reading simply because it was a cultural phenomenon, and so I would like to be a part of it. But there's too many other things. Like, having not read anything, I would rather read every single Michael Crichton and Stephen King book than start reading those romance novels.
Every Michael Crichton book I've read is gold. Like, the research that he puts into his books to make them believable. Like, the fiction books are believable because, like, just the amount of facts that he throws in there, it's amazing. And I mean, he's dead now, so he can't write anymore, which is very sad. But
his last book was a pirate book, wasn't it?
It was. I don't like. It was like he left behind a bunch of notes, more or less, and more or less a book, but it wasn't completely finished. And then I think, son or something like that put it together.
So that was his latest thing. Was an unfinished thing that was put together into a book. His last finished book was Pirate Latitudes, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Back then, when Pirate Latitudes was coming out, and I think Stephen King had written Under the Dome. Under the Dome and Pirate Latitudes came out around the same time. Those two books had me so excited to read, and I didn't read either of them because I'm stupid.
I still haven't read. What is Michael Crichton's really? I mean, he has a lot of really famous books.
Andromeda Strain.
Andromeda Strain. I haven't read that because stupid me was like, I bought the book and I had it right there ready, and then I broke up with my girlfriend, and she was also a huge book for Michael Crichton, and me being the good guy, nice dude I am, I'm like, well, here. You can have this as a breakup gift. I don't even know what that is, so I just still haven't read it yet. One of these days.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Poe?
I like Edgar Allan Poe. I haven't. Okay. I mean, everything that I've read of him, I enjoy.
So when I read The Mask of the Red Death, have you ever read that?
I have not.
It's so short. It's just I couldn't believe it. I realized I find Poe incredibly interesting as a human being. I find his thoughts on didactism, I think is what it's called, which is reading into the stories for deeper meanings that aren't there superficially, where he thinks that that's terrible. Very interesting, because then I'm like, I should just take his stories then on face value just as entertainment. But I'd never read anything, even like The Raven, right?
Oh,
That's
really?
Edgar Allan Poe. I never read The Raven. I mean, I
How
know.
did you get by high school not reading that?
I don't think I had to read it for lit.
Interesting. Because I
Um,
feel like that came up 3 or 4 times in high school.
I don't even know. So The Raven is a poem. Okay.
Yeah. Quote the Raven. Never
And
mind.
so yeah, I realized that I'm fascinated by him, but I haven't read anything. So I'm glad that I'm reading again, and I'm glad that I read The Mask of the Red Death. Um,
You
yeah,
know,
books are good.
if I, for whatever reason, become an English teacher and I'm teaching a literature class, if a student comes up to me and says, I'm not enjoying this book, can I read this book instead and give you a paper on that? I will instantly be like, yes. Because I did that in high school. We were reading. What's that terrible book called? One with turtles in the beginning. What? It's like. God, why can't I remember? It's like two turtles racing, but that has nothing to do with the story.
Oh God, what is the story though? What are like?
I can't even remember. Anyways, whatever. It was this book that we were reading, and it was really boring. I did not like it, and I went to my teacher. I'm like, okay, can I read Lord of the Rings instead and give you an analysis on that? And he's like, absolutely not. You can't. Like, there's no analysis in Lord of the Rings. And back then, I was heartbroken because I loved the Lord of the Rings. Now look at it and think you're retarded because there can be an analysis in any books. The Lord of the Rings, like the amount of themes and like just information that can come from those, like, is endless, especially for someone who's obsessed with it like I am.
So that class aspect of it. I mean, I don't think I support literature as a required course. I find literature fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there'd be people who, if you could just separate literature from writing, because the literature course is so just dominated by writing. You have to write papers on all of these books. What I would have rather done is read the books and give a presentation, talk about it to the class,
Have a
have discussion. Yeah, I would have loved that.
Like, I agree with that, and I think as you get into higher levels of education, that's what you see. Like in a lot of college classes and that kind of stuff with literature. At least my experience has always been, like, I mean, there will be a paper or two, but the discussions are a much bigger aspect of the class than the papers are. In high school, I understand that because 50%, if not more, if not a greater percentage, are not going to want to participate.
Like, you had so
like back in high school, I don't even know if I would have wanted to participate in group discussion with some people outside of my friend group. Like, I mean, that's me being honest, but yeah.
Literature was so coupled with writing for me that I mean I don't like writing, right? That's why we have a YouTube channel, why we don't have a site with written reviews anymore. I don't like writing. And so that caused me to not like reading because every book that I read, I knew I'd have to write a paper on it afterwards. And I like analyzing books, but I don't like writing. And oh God, I would have loved that course so much more if I could have just talked about it. And Dewey, come on, if we would have been in lit together, we would have competed,
of course,
with participation, and we would have been the only ones talking.
That's why I did so good in Spanish, and then also what was the Gauchi class that was you had to memorize all the words?
College reading.
College reading, yes. That because I was in a class with my girlfriend at the time and I had to impress her, so I like memorized all those freaking words and what they meant and everything like that.
I got out of that. Oh, I love it.
I love that class. That class was a lot of fun. It was so easy too.
I got out of having to take the tests that was about memorizing all of the words.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I was sick.
Oh.
And then he didn't make me do it because he likes me.
That's funny. I don't know. I mean, it was like, as someone who read a lot as a kid, like, and I mean a lot, like, comparatively, once again, friends that I know, apparently I didn't read it all, but, like, I would read, like, summertime would come, and, like, you know, most people sometime go outside and everything like that, and I'd be outside, but I'd be reading. I'd probably read, like, 20 books a summer or something like that. And some of them would be shorter, but some of them would also be a lot longer. And that really helped me learn, like, have the vocabulary. Wow, I'm just gonna blow this up.
Whatever.
The vocabulary I have now, like the knowledge that I have of words, it definitely comes from just knowing and reading and all that kind of stuff. That's been awesome.
So I'm looking at the paper again because I want to I got to talk a little bit more about my obsession with books and why I'd always end up not reading. So books have interested me, right? Like concepts of books. But what would happen is I would go through like the paper and it would have reviews, or I'd go look at a website and it would have reviews and release dates and stuff. And I would compile this list of books. And this list of books would grow to huge sizes that I could never hope to finish. And so I would treat every time like a paper would come out or a magazine or a new like story would come out about books, I would treat it as like a race. Okay, I would have to go buy that book and read it as fast as I can, and it would just ruin the experience for me. I want to switch though from books. Okay. We've been talking about books for a while, to Breaking Bad.
Oh, Breaking Bad finale.
Yeah, because Breaking Bad's over, so TV just seems empty now.
We're gonna start off this. Are there going to be spoilers?
We'll start off by saying no. I'm curious just about the chat because people are watching us live, so I don't want to just say like tune out for the next 5 minutes. People that are watching us live, just start writing if you want us to talk about spoilers in chat. But we'll talk about it in general, like the stuff in general, like it being over and that kind of stuff while I wait.
The ending. How did you feel about it?
Is this controversial? The ending?
I think so. I think so because it's not the larger. Because after it was done, I was obsessed with going online and looking at forums and like Reddit and seeing the reactions because I didn't want it to end. I wanted there to be more. And I think the overall thing was they were happy about it. Like they're happy it ended the way it did, but they were also upset because they feel like that's not how it should have ended.
How do they want it to end?
Like
how did they say how they wanted it to end?
Yeah, well, I mean, certain people in the series, they felt that they got like I don't know, like they ended how, like certain people ended the series well and what they got everything they wished for, and they didn't think that those people should have got what they wished for, or that person in particular, and that they should have suffered more instead of having more or less a happy ending.
Okay, so the chat's pretty much responding that they're fine with spoilers, so we're going to talk about it. There's a few people in there that don't, and I want to make it easy for you to come back in. So I'll just be holding my phone like this as long as we're talking about spoilers, and if you want to keep listening to us and whatnot, I'll put it down, and when it's down, that means we're done with spoilers. Yeah, pretty basic thing.
Yep.
Sound good?
Cool.
Okay, and so we're going to talk about spoilers of the whole series because I got to talk to you about the whole series. There's no way I could be happy with the ending, all right? But that's just because it's not even because it's over and I'm sad because it's over. It's just because over the last like 4 episodes, ever since like Hank died, right? Hank was my favorite character other than Jesse Pinkman in the series as a whole. Hank died and I was just depressed. It was like I actually went through like the stages of grief, like denial, sadness, and all of that. Whereas like, no, he's still alive out there. No, he is. And then it would like sink in that he's dead. And then everyone's life has fallen apart, right? Like Walt trying to be with his family and still working to try to make the family work. All of that is gone. I just can't be happy. I'm not going to be happy with anything that happens because I'm just depressed at the end of the series. It wrapped up nicely. I think that there's a lot of closure, I think.
Yeah, I think everything was pretty much closed. Like what I was talking about before was Walt got everything that he wanted. His family was taken care of. Jesse Pinkman was saved. He killed everyone that ever crossed him, other than, I guess, Jesse Pinkman. And then he didn't have to go to jail. He died in
The lab.
doing what he loved there.
What honestly, just a slight difference is I wish he would have lived long enough, and there would have been materials there for him to die cooking meth instead of just dying in the lab.
Well, I mean, if you things were cooking, because remember when they went to get Jesse, he was in the middle of a cook.
Yeah,
So
I guess it wasn't his though.
Yeah.
I just like, ooh, his unfinished meth, like an unfinished book. He died while writing a book. He died while cooking his last batch of meth. Um, were you Team Walt
No.
at the end? Okay. When did you not were you ever Team Walt?
Yeah, I was like in the beginning of the series when Skylar was a bitch and annoying the shit out of me.
Skylar totally was not a bitch in the first 2 seasons.
Well, I didn't particularly like her in the first 2 seasons. She wasn't. I know that you liked her more, but she wasn't a favorite of mine. And then that whole incident where she goes into the pool, where she just like walks in the pool in the middle of like their dinner party, I'm just like this.
That's where it was all gone.
God damn it! I hate this whore. Towards the end, she redeemed herself a little bit more when she started helping out Walt, that kind of stuff. I love Junior. God, he was so awesome.
He's such a sweet boy.
Yeah.
Junior's the one character I think that there was never at any point that I disliked him. Maybe Saul. I don't know if I've ever disliked Saul in the entire series.
About the spin-off for Saul,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They've released that it's not going to be comedic, but more heavy-hearted. So I don't know exactly what that means.
Okay.
Saul was, known for his comedy throughout the series. It's like this.
Okay, I get some people are saying they don't know what Breaking Bad is. Breaking Bad basic story is a chemistry teacher who was founding a major company and then quit the company. The company became huge, so he has this ego complex with him. He's diagnosed with cancer, and he starts cooking meth so he can get money for his family after he's gone and stability. And then the series goes from there. He hooks up basically with an ex-student, Jesse Pinkman. They go into business together, and he cooks the most amazing meth that's out there. It's 98%. It's like pure meth, which is not realistic in the slightest in real life at all, like the percentages of meth that there is. So if there was 98% meth now, that would sell huge if there was a Walter White. And it goes about the business of his dealings with the drug industry, not the drug industry, but the drug underground, and the dissolution of his family. And eventually his brother-in-law, who's a DEA agent, finds out, and then the hunt is on. That's the end of season 5, which is the last season. It's funny how all of this could have ended so happily if Walt would not have had the book in the bathroom.
Right.
And it was funny because were you watching this? You don't have TV, so you weren't watching it live.
No.
When you watched the episode where Hank found out, were you able to watch the next episode right after it? Or did you have to wait? Like, have you been caught up for a long time?
No, I think I started to catch up as like I watched the first season when that came out, and then I just stopped. And then I didn't. And then I just had a binge where I watched it like for like 4 days or something like that, and I caught up from the second season to the end of the whatever like what.
So when Hank finds out, when Hank sees the book that has.
Yeah, that's where I caught up to.
And then you had to wait.
Yeah, and then it wasn't even. It was like a week or something like that. But yeah.
Oh. So there's like almost a full year in between the halves of season 5. I cannot imagine watching that episode live when Hank found out and having to wait almost a full year to see, because that was perhaps one of the most like astonishing what is going to happen moments I've ever seen on television. I didn't want to watch the next episode because I didn't know if I could handle what was going to happen. And if he just would have not kept the book that implicated him with Gale, poor Gale, but that poor man. Also, like I'm fully of the mindset that if you want to watch Breaking Bad and you want a happy ending and you don't want to be depressed, just stop watching at the end of season 4 and everything's fine. It
Very
is.
much, yeah.
Like for me, there was no reason to watch season 5 from season 4. It closed up nicely, I thought. Season 5's existence had me watch it. If you stop watching at season 4, everything's pretty happy, and things don't go to shit. That
Yes.
show, though,
It was a very, very good TV show, and the fall's coming, so everything is now premiering again. The new seasons are here, and it's now that I've watched that, and I go back to old favorites, things like How I Met Your Mother, which is in its final season, The Big Bang Theory, which is one of my favorite shows of all. I mean, it has dropped down from one of my favorite shows of all time. I feel like it has the How I Met Your Mother incident where it's just gone on too long. Like, they need to close it. Like, they can't. Like, it's just.
wait, what needs to be closed?
The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
It's just like it's all filler episode now. There's no progression.
Real quick, I think we're done with spoilers of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so continue talking.
And yeah, so like it's just like everything is filler episode now. There's no progression of the story. There's no like what's happening between Penny and Leonard, and like that was the driving factor, and like it needs to end. Like
It is a Sheldon show, right?
yeah, at this point, pretty much.
And Sheldon's an amazing character.
Mm-hmm.
I love Sheldon.
But there's only so much he can carry.
Right.
Like,
you need a surrounding situation that's appealing.
yeah.
I haven't seen Big Bang Theory in a while. I didn't stop watching because I didn't like it anymore. I just stopped watching because
I do. That
I'm
too.
me and whatever. Big Bang Theory was so good though in the first seasons. It's so funny.
It still has moments where it's funny, but like first maybe 3 or 4 seasons, like every episode I laughed and like laughed a lot. Now it's less of it, me laughing. I still enjoy the show, but
For people that aren't used to really good comedy, like that's so common in sitcoms and comedies that are on now, is that they're just not funny.
mm-hmm.
And I used to be of the mindset like, oh, it's not that bad, right? But if it's not making you laugh and it's a comedy, and it's not especially like compelling narratively, there's no reason to watch it. Because there are shows out there that are that funny.
Yeah, like How I Met Your Mother had that with me for a while, where like I say the How I Met Your Mother, like I don't know, thing that goes on with it. How I Met Your Mother has gone on for way too long. Like it should have ended like 3 seasons ago. Now that being said, there have been a handful of episodes that have been the reason I watch How I Met Your Mother is no longer because I laugh at it, because it's funny, because there's been some episodes where it's like heart-wrenching. And it like I don't know, do you care for How I Met Your Mother spoilers?
Do I? No.
Yeah, okay. Well, for those of you who do, phone. There is a episode, I think in like the 5th season or something like that, like one of the later seasons, that Marshall's dad dies, and I was tearing up during that whole scene because it was a race between it was like Lily was pregnant.
Okay.
And she was like he was calling his dad to say, "Hey, like Lily's pregnant," or something like that, and he doesn't pick up, and then Lily gets out of a cab, it's raining, and then she's like crying, "Marshall, I have some news. Your dad died." And it was especially touching because like I like looked at behind the scenes stuff on that, and nobody knew that was happening except for Lily, the director, and like
cool.
the producer. And
That's
so
cool.
like the reaction was live, and it was like that's happened on other occasions. I think it happened in Breaking Bad.
Where you cried?
No,
cried, or
no,
where they kept something a secret?
Yeah, they kept something secret, and I guess I can reveal do that. But.
So does How I Met Your Mother not have those moments for you anymore with that show? Because the 2 shows that I'm thinking of in my head that have that almost drama element, right? How I Met Your Mother and Scrubs, both for me.
Mm-hmm.
if I wasn't laughing during an episode, that could be okay because it wasn't just purely comedy. There was something there that I'm invested in with the characters and the story that's happening.
I mean,
like Scrubs it has made me cry. And that's pretty cool of a comedy.
I would say that How I Met Your Mother, like How I Met Your Mother, the first like 3 seasons were like some of the funniest on TV. I loved it. I would laugh at like everything. There were like some of the highest moments of me just laughing in those first 3 seasons. And then as it continued on, they just went for too many just, one-liners and that kind of stuff, and it just like that ruined the episodes. But then occasionally there would be an episode like the one that I described that would like pull me back in. And the reason I'm watching it is, first of all, it's in its final season, and second of all, I want to see how the story wraps up.
Is it in its final season because it was going to get canceled, or because they actually were like, okay, we need to wrap the story up?
I don't know.
And actually show how he met.
I would imagine. I mean, I really don't know, but I would imagine because there's a potential that it could have been canceled. Like, I don't think the numbers are as good as they used to be
Okay,
for that show.
so like what Breaking Bad did, closing out when it has tremendous ratings, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Because shows just continue on, and it happens with comedies very much because you want to get it to syndication so then you can make more money after it's run. If you can actually have that defined story, and maybe you don't have it all planned out right from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you develop it, you see that ending appearing and actually saying, this is the appropriate ending for a show, even though it has great ratings, like Breaking Bad, but we're going to end it, is really cool. And also, I think that Breaking Bad, that finale, it proves how cool event television can actually be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Lost somewhat had that same effect, where, like, if you look at the Netflix model, right, they release an entire season. Orange is the New Black. All the episodes are up.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something to be said that's really cool, having to wait that week.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next? And everyone's kind of watching it at the same time and experiencing it together, even though it's not really together. You could be talking on Twitter with people and being part of a community. I think that's one really cool thing about television that isn't present in really any other medium besides maybe episodic games.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess movies to some extent, but it's not the same as like Breaking Bad being on at 8 o'clock on this Sunday and everyone being like,
well, because
we need to go watch it at this time.
Envelops your life, right? Like Sundays were Breaking Bad nights. It's like, I know Breaking Bad's coming out. I can't wait to watch this. It's gonna be awesome. Now it's like, okay, what? Sundays, I don't exactly know what happens on Sundays anymore.
Walking Dead, Dewey. Walking Dead, it's coming back.
Fucking show, man.
One day I'll catch up.
You know what's
good stuff though on AMC. So Mad Men, which I need to start watching because everything that I've seen about Mad Men I like, and then Hell on Wheels, the train show. Have you seen an episode of that?
I've not, but my like family's upset. Like my non-immediate family is obsessed with that show.
It's a really good show. I mean, it's not Breaking Bad level of good in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. I kept like that. I was watching that and Walking Dead at one point, and that was the two shows that I was watching. I just miss the old days of Breaking Bad. Honestly, season 1, season 2. I'm in the minority where I think that the early seasons were the best, and because they were the funniest, and I loved it. Everything was so happy then. But,
somebody said that they hate cliffhangers. I love cliffhangers. Like, yeah, they suck, but they're just like they those are the things that drag you in. You get a good cliffhanger. It's like that. Then that whole week that you're waiting for the next episode, that's all you're thinking about. Just like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And that's I love that. I love doing that in our videos too.
And having to wait and thinking about that so much. That's one of the things that I think made me probably enjoy the later seasons in Breaking Bad less than the early seasons, because I watched the first 2 seasons live.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to wait, and I was thinking about what was happening throughout the week. Then I binge watched. There was no wait, and everything seemed to go by so quickly.
Yeah. You know what's really funny is the outrage at the end of Dexter. I don't watch Dexter.
I don't even know what
I
happened.
saw the first episode of Dexter and I was like, okay, whatever. Everyone hates me for it, but I just like it.
I actually, so I mean, granted, I watched it on CBS, so it was censored, and so it was a shit version. I agree with you with season one. I thought Dexter season one was just, to me, maybe it is a little bit better than something like CSI New York.
Yeah.
The thing is, then I randomly, because I bought like season 4 or something with John Lithgow in it, and I started watching it, and that was incredible television. Like, that was where I put it in to watch one episode, and I watched it until the next morning. All night long, I watched it. So that was a really good season of Dexter. So I think that's where a lot of praise comes from.
Guys want a amazing show that, in my mind, is better than Breaking Bad. Go watch Battlestar Galactica. That show is so good. Like, so good. And, like, I read this online this week, actually. It is really important not to just watch the pilot or the mini series and just take it that. Watch the first season and then, like, judge it after that.
Well,
like, it's not that the pilot's bad or that the mini series it's bad. It's just that, like, it was the same thing with me. I watched the pilot and the mini series. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. But then after the first season, I was like, this is the best show on television. Like, this is so good. So, do that. Because you get enveloped. You really get enveloped in the universe.
I think that if you approach a television show the right way, honestly giving it a chance, right? Mm-hmm. Not going into something like Battlestar Galactica with like, oh, that's that show that my friend is obsessed with, and blah, right? It's a nerd show or whatever, because our group has done that before. We're like, oh, that's just the nerd show, even though we're all nerds. You don't give it a chance. I don't think you need to give it an entire season. So Breaking Bad, again, to bring it back to Breaking Bad, episode 1, it wasn't the greatest episode of Breaking Bad. And for a lot of people, it was really, really slow. What caught me with it was I absolutely loved the cinematography in episode 1. Mm-hmm. And there was something about it, that slow buildup and focus on character had me thinking, this is something that I have to watch. And I think watching a couple episodes of Battlestar Galactica, you'd be able to tell whether it'd be something that you would love eventually or not. Mm-hmm. Just unless it drastically changes tone, which I doubt. It's just Fringe. So Fringe is another example. Fringe season 1 is mediocre, but if you watch that season, the whole time I was watching it live, I still loved it. It was like science but amped up. I knew that show could grow into something, and there were elements there, and I enjoyed it enough that I watched it, even though it wasn't bad. It was just good. Mm-hmm. And then season 2 was amazing. So, someone said, "Are you laughing about someone writing Firefly in the chat?"
Yeah, the Firefly cult and there's not a like. That it has like the most dedicated fan base in the world, and like I'm not like I'm giving off this tone like I hate Firefly or something. It's not like I enjoy Firefly. I liked it, but I had to go watch it a second time to actually enjoy it. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, this is shit. Like and I think I was partly clouded just because everyone was so obsessed with it. Like literally all of my friends who had watched this are like, this is the best show on television. Fox is the most retarded thing in the world for canceling it, and you will never see something better. And so that's what I expect going into this series, and it was good. It was not that good. I don't think it should have been canceled. Like, I agree with the fact that it should have been.
So you've seen the full season?
I've seen everything. Serenity.
Okay. I haven't seen an episode.
I was not a fan of Cowboys in Space, let me tell you. I was not a fan of that.
So some people might get mad at me because I haven't seen Firefly and whatever. I haven't seen Firefly. The exact same reason why you say that you probably unimpressed with it is because the following for that show. It's almost just like spite. Like so many people that I know talked about it and like, oh, you have to see it. I'm like, no, bitches, I'm not gonna go see it. I can go watch it. I don't care how much you love it. I mean, it's stupid, but
No, yeah,
that's the reality of how we both are, I guess.
That's the Toy Story 3 syndrome where
Toy Story 3 is the greatest Pixar movie ever made.
Zach and Austin and a couple other people
Perhaps
are
in the
like,
top 10 of all movies ever made.
you're going to cry when you watch this movie. It is amazing, and this is what I'm hearing the whole time. I hadn't seen it. Go into it. It was a good movie, but the fact that it was that hyped for me was
Toy Story 3 spoilers. I mean, it's somewhat old, but whatever. If someone hasn't seen it, I figure it's not much of a hassle. The incinerator scene, Dewey. The incinerator scene. That's what it is. Toy Story 3 is a very, very good movie. The incinerator scene, I was sitting in the theaters, right? I'm just slouching further down in my chair like, no, 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 they can't do it. Because this is after Wall-E. And I maintain that Wall-E should have died at the end of that movie. And I thought that it would be tragic. So I'm going around, right? Me and Austin are both saying, like, this is how the movie should have ended, and it would have been amazing. And everyone's like, no, you can't do that. Wall-E's so beloved. Like, that's exactly why he needed to die, because think of how emotionally devastating that would be. So I'm saying that Pixar needs to do this, and then Toy Story 3 happens, and this scene is happening. I'm like, no, they're actually going to do it. They're going to kill these characters. The thing that I've been preaching for them to do all these years, they're going to do it. They're going to kill them all. And when Buzz Lightyear and whatever, the cowgirl Jane,
Mm-hmm.
is that her name?
Sure. I don't know.
They look at each other, right? They give each other a look, and then they just hold each other's hands. And the horse, like, scared, and they just, like, all hold their hands together as they go down. I'm like, if they die, I was gonna be like, I didn't cry during that movie, but if they would have died, that would have been traumatizing for me. And that's why I know that movie is so great. Plus, it ended perfectly.
Yeah. That's...
Jesse. Wait, I called her Jane.
Oh. I just movies too. I want to see a good movie. I'm really looking forward to the end of the year with The Hobbit coming out. Ender's Game. Ender's Game is another brilliant book.
You've read it?
Yep.
I have not.
It's I actually just read it this year. For whatever reason that escaped me. That's like a book that like every boy has read in their childhood apparently, and somehow that passed me up. It's like exactly my type of book, but I didn't read it. But so I read it this year, and it was really good. Like it was another book it was another thing that was super hyped up for me. But I feel like it held up to the hype. Like it was good enough where it can hold up to that.
Do we want to take some questions?
Yeah, we should probably. Me and Zach can talk forever.
So Dewey and I have been friends for quite a long time. If you don't know, we went to high school together. If you didn't gather that from the conversation about literature and shit. Dewey and I will start talking at like midnight about movies and TV shows, and we will talk until 8 in the morning until we realize we should probably be sleeping.
Yeah.
So I have to leave now before we get on to another subject. So we'll stop. I'll stop.
Take some questions.
If there's any questions. If not, well, we could leave. We could be done, or I could talk about something else.
Oh, the other thing I got. This is something gaming.
Pokemon
related.
X and Y. Yeah.
Pokemon X and Y is coming out. I got the Pokemon X and Y 3DS extra large. This thing is awesome. I never thought I would ever play a 3DS game as much. Like I got the Mario Kart 7 for it, and basically anytime I'm not at my computer, I'm playing that. And I'm so good at Mario Kart. Like it's not even a joke. I'm just like I got 3 stars on 2 different Grand Prix on the first try of that map, and 3 stars is the max rating you can get on those Grand Prix. And like everything else I've got, like the lowest I got is 1 star, but I consistently get 2 stars and everything. So I'm so good at that game, and it's so much fun. And I can play with my friend in Japan, and that's awesome.
I'm distracting myself right now because someone asked about Steam, the beta stuff, the Steam box beta requirements. I didn't know that that was released. I'll talk about something else though while I'm looking it up. What was the question here? Oh, the first gameplay that we did for the channel. So my first was the first gameplay because when I started, no one was in it but me. It was Iron Man 2, the game.
Oh, that game.
Which I still obviously look at very, very fondly as a wonderful game because it was my first game that I did for MediaCast.
First gameplay I did for this was a Guild Wars Let's Play, I think. Yeah, I'll count, because I think I did that after Team Fortress 2 review, but I don't know if I count the Team Fortress 2 review as like a gameplay thing. That was legitimately a review. But yeah, I definitely liked the Guild Wars. Huge obsession of mine, one of my favorite games of all time, and I did a Let's Play. It was our first commentary on this channel. Way back before we did anything, it was welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Guild Wars Let's Play or something like that.
I loved our intro too, the cows mooing. I kind of want to bring that back. That was so good. Moo, moo, moo. Silence. Oh, it's so good.
That was good. We should bring that back. That was legit. Old Pokemon versus new Pokemon, that's not even a question. Old Pokemon, of course. I mean, not that I don't have any love for the new ones. I don't know any of them. But, like, that's just like, you know, it was such a big part of my childhood that I have to choose old Pokemon.
Prison Break. Do you see Prison Break?
No. But my sister cried at the end of that.
Oh, you've told me that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel really bad because I laughed at her because she was watching the finale and like I had a bunch of friends over like LAN or so, like a LAN party or something like that, and she's watching. She's like over there crying on the couch, and we all made fun of her. And it's just like I've done things just like that before. But
She deserves to be laughed at, Dewey. It wasn't that sad.
I feel like I mean it was something that like enveloped her life more or less. Like she loved that series. So
The reason why I don't think it was that sad, and I'm gonna sound very, very elitist, how I say that, like this is the fact. It wasn't that sad. It just the show went downhill over time. So as it went on, it seemed like there was less and less of a reason for its continued existence. So by the time it ended, which is quick spoilers, Michael Schofield, he dies at the end because he has the brain problem that's genetic. It wasn't that sad for me, honestly. Like I just was like, okay, this is how it's ending. The first season of Prison Break is one of the finest seasons of television there is. It's so good. It really is. And season 2's fine. I like season 2. After that, it's kind of
because they break out of prison, don't they? And then like
well, they break out after season 1. Season 2, they're on the run. Season 2, though, the FBI agent who's after them, he's such a good actor, and it's such a good like cat and mouse type season. I know a lot of people aren't that big fans of season 2. I'm probably kind of in the minority.
real quick question for you: who do you think was the best actor in Breaking Bad?
I maintain that Jesse Pinkman's the best actor in Breaking Bad.
I agree. His suffering scenes were just like you felt it.
From I think the first season, it had me at least the first half of the first season, I thought that Walt, so Bryan Cranston, was the best actor in Breaking Bad. Then there was a point, either towards the end of season 1 or in the beginning of season 2, that I was. This is another thing, like, and when season 1 was happening, everyone was saying Mad Men was the best show on television. I'm like, no, Breaking Bad is. And then everyone went around to my side, said Breaking Bad was. And then while everyone was saying, oh, Bryan Cranston's the most amazing actor ever, I'm sitting there and saying, no, Aaron Paul, Jesse Pinkman. He is the best actor on that show. He doesn't get enough credit. And then people started to get around. Like, he started to win awards, and people were like, you know who's really the unsung actor in this? Who really is the secret to the show? Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman. I'm like, bitches, this is what I've been saying. He has my favorite moment in Breaking Bad, the entire show, is when there's the open house when they're trying to sell the house in the beginning, right? And Jesse needs to get rid of the people, and the guy's trying to open up the door to get down in the basement, and he's like, "Hey, yo, you're not getting in the basement." And he's like, I want to get down there and see it. And he opens up the door and he said, yo, I told you ain't seen the basement, bitch. And it's like, all of y'all, you need to get out. The house is not for sale. That for me is the funniest moment in the entire show. My favorite moment in the entire show, and the moment where I'm like, Jesse Pinkman. And it's right, every time he says bitch is just like, there wasn't enough of him saying bitch at the end of the show. Because every time he said bitch,
because he was a broken human being.
I know. Jesse's the one that's relatable though, right? Like,
yeah.
For most people that are watching, we can identify much more with Jesse than we can Walt, and that's why I think people got around to liking Jesse more. Yeah, that poor man. I love Jesse. He's such a good kid too.
Yeah.
He's flawed and he's flunked out and he's not going anywhere in his life, but at his core, he's a good person, and I love that. Will you do sports games? Yes.
Sure.
So if you weren't around, my love for FIFA, do a Manchester City, you get to be Manchester United.
Goal! I enjoy FIFA much more than PES.
So the truth about the goal thing is, I just like watching the football highlights from English Premier League. It doesn't matter what language the announcer's speaking in. Just so as long as when they goal, it's just like the world has exploded. They're just screaming, "Go!"
So what you haven't experienced is a European football game. And I stand by the fact that even though I went to an FCK Kaiserslautern Premier League or German League game, they were the worst team in the first class. They got demoted to the second class. Never been to a better sporting event in my life. Like, it was just constant cheering. The energy was just outstanding, and the stadium was like at 50% maybe, but it was just like I've never heard so much energy come from.
Just imagine Real Madrid versus Barcelona,
or Man City versus Man U.
Oh
my God, that is what I want to do in my life. I want to go see a Man U versus Man City game. That would be amazing.
Someone says we should play some rugby. We should, because rugby's amazing.
God.
When I was a kid, so I had this neighbor, Giselle. She's a girl. She's younger than me.
Oh, yeah, I met her, didn't I?
Yeah, and her cousin Rosie, right? We played basketball with them. They're pretty athletic. And then my friend Aisha, you also probably met, because I think she was there.
I do remember Aisha, yes.
So the three of them were a team on rugby. And then me, Blake, and Nathan were a team on rugby. This is sophomore year of high school for me, this time period. So I'm 15, maybe 16 at the oldest. And my cousins are 12, 11. Those girls kicked our ass in rugby. And it was partially because, they were starting to go through puberty, so they're starting to grow boobs. And one of them really had boobs, and it was like when you were trying to tackle them, I don't know how I'm supposed to tackle them without feeling like I'm molesting them. Yeah.
And they're pretty cute. They are pretty cute.
They kicked our ass every time in rugby, which then, see, what I wanted a matchup rugby against them now, because I know now we'd be able to kick their ass.
Well, that stupid basketball game that we did at your I want to say your son's, but your brother's graduation party, that was like a complete slaughter. What
was the team?
It was boys versus girls.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, but then
just complete domination.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was to the point where it's you can't go anywhere near the net. It has to be all 3-pointers pretty much, or else and it still wasn't even a close game.
The only way that the girls could stand a chance would be if the hoop was raised where we couldn't dunk.
Yeah. So
we actually had to shoot, and even then we'd beat them, right? Because I can shoot those 3-pointers all day. Sports. What else do we have here? I'm a gentleman. Thank you. See, I'm not trying to molest girls while playing rugby with them. Oh, I made just.
Secretly, that's all they're thinking about. How come there are no mods? It's like Red Blaze Network and ArcGiant do not have their mod thing next to them. Oh, maybe just a glitch. What happened to Pokemon 3D? The game stopped being updated. Like, we played it to as far as it was updated, but the developer got busy with life and stopped updating it, and then I stopped paying attention to it. So it could be updated now, but
At this point, X and Y are coming out very, very soon.
yeah. So
And that's where the excitement lies. A pointless update question thing. Where is Tom and Ray? Because it doesn't matter. People that would be watching this would know. At least for Tom, is Tom left to go hang out with a friend. Raymond is, I'm assuming, sleeping because we haven't talked to him all day. Which goes to how our Friday's been, Dewey. I woke up to basically a Skype call. I mean,
yep.
I've been actually up since like 4 a.m. and haven't slept since then. But that entire time I was playing FIFA on the Vita. And then I was trying to go to sleep right before the podcast was going to start because I was so tired. But that's been our Friday.
Yeah, I plan on actually sleeping after this. Because I need to be up tonight to watch the League of Legends World Finals.
What do I think about? So, what do I think about Assassin's Creed 4? I have some strong thoughts of Assassin's Creed 4, Dewey.
Mm-hmm.
Some new evolved strong thoughts.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to those being posted on what I assume Fusion Cap.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's not even about Assassin's Creed 4. It's just about how Assassin's Creed is going downhill and why it's going downhill, not because it's a yearly release thing and not enough changes. It's going downhill because Connor was the worst character ever. He's just awful, stupid, terrible, awful human being, and I wish he would have died. And then it's just full of these mechanics, these side quests, Dewey, that take you out of the game. So it's like you go to a menu screen to find out what to do. It's not someone coming up to you naturally and saying, I need your help. Can you do this for me? It takes you out of the gameplay experience.
Huh.
And that combined with New York being the worst city that Assassin's Creed has ever been to, and Boston just not having the verticality of the past, means that a lot of people aren't excited for Assassin's Creed 4. I think Assassin's Creed 4 could be really cool. From what I've seen, it looks really good. I have not seen any verticality, and I hope that there's verticality, but it looks beautiful. And I like the boating, the ship aspect of Assassin's Creed 3, and that being expanded upon is really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. There's my thoughts on Assassin's Creed 4. There we go. How about Battlefield 4, Dewey? The beta started.
Battlefield 4, when they released that gameplay video however many months ago, I was absolutely astounded at how beautiful that game looked. I have not seen a game that looks that good ever. And it was all live gameplay and everything like that. And so I'm really looking forward to that. The only issue is I no longer have a computer that can run that at max settings, and that bothers me. So we'll see. People asking if I'll make a beta video. That legitimately is the thing that's holding me back. And I don't know how to get into the beta, so.
That's true. Just wait to buy a Steambox, Dewey. Then you can run it on max settings.
We'll see.
Maybe I will play Battlefield 4, you know?
I like the Battlefield series, I really do. I've enjoyed it. I did the walkthrough for Battlefield 3 for the Media Cows. Remember that? Staying up all night in your and in your house.
Good times.
But I still don't know. I like it. I'm looking forward to it. It's better than Call of Duty. Oh, shots fired.
Maybe it is.
Which is funny because I've definitely played Call of Duty a lot more than I've played Battlefield.
That's true.
But,
Battlefield 3, I remember. I played multiplayer once. And it's just once, one night. I thought it was the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen in a game. And I said, I have to keep playing this. And then I never played it again.
Yeah, that's basically how I usually go about it too.
I mean, I honestly think I probably played more Battlefield Online than Call of Duty Online.
Really?
Yeah, because
you played
Battlefield 1942?
42? Okay. It's
or 1943?
I think it's 43.
1943? Okay. It was a while ago. I played that non-stop to the point where I had gotten all of the commendations that you could get in that game. So I played that more than I played Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, which I played that a lot too. But I never prestiged in Modern Warfare 2. I
Modern Warfare
loved
easily.
Battlefield 1943. Right now, though, it's just been so long since I played first-person shooters multiplayer that there's such a learning curve with the Battlefield community that I'm gonna start off sucking.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, whereas like in a sports game like FIFA, right, I can train with single player
Yeah.
and get better, at least competent. I can't do that with Battlefield because the equivalent is single player, but that doesn't train you for multiplayer at all. That's not an equivalent experience.
Yeah, that intimidation factor is actually really strong. Like in Grand Theft Auto Online, I don't want to go into the death matches because I'm so bad at shooting in that game. So bad. Third-person shooters, first of all, are not my forte. Like I'm really bad at third-person shooters, and then combine that with the Grand Theft Auto like controls and that kind of stuff, and it just does not work out well for me.
Have you tried PlanetSide 2?
I have not. I've downloaded that like 5 times on my computer, but I think I forgot my station password or whatever it was. And
The Sony station, yeah. I don't even have it downloaded, and this is so stupid because I'm such a Total Biscuit fanboy. Total Biscuit loves that game, and I've watched all of the videos on it and thought like it was so cool and it was so gorgeous and it looked like so much fun, and I never played it. That's one experience that I regret not having. Tom Clancy games. Did you know Tom Clancy, right? Tom Clancy, he's dead now.
He
died recently.
Spoilers.
So are there gonna be more Tom Clancy games? I imagine so.
Yeah.
Don't imagine that that's gonna affect the branding. I don't know that his branding means much though for Ubisoft. I mean, people associate like Ghost Recon with Ghost Recon, right? They don't.
Yeah, like that's funny because
Rainbow Six.
I had somebody tweet me saying like, "Oh, rip Tom Clancy." I'm like, "Oh, I never read any of his works because I knew him as the author and not as the game person." And then they're like, "Oh, you never played any Splinter Cells?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That was him." No, I didn't play any Splinter Cells, and I completely blanked on the fact that he was involved in the Ghost Recon, and I have played those. But yeah, I don't know. Or in the is it Ghost Recon or is it just Recon?
Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon, okay.
The last Tom Clancy game I played a lot of, because I have not played the Splinter Cell games, which I'm glad Raymond's not here, because then he would kill me. Because he loves Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is like one of his favorite games of all time. Was Rainbow Six Lockdown. Rainbow Six Lockdown for the PS2.
Wow.
And that was perhaps one of my most frustrating experiences I've ever had in gaming, up there with Alpha Protocol.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sure it was because I sucked and I wasn't playing the game right, because the game was good. I loved the game. It just, I reached a point where I literally could not pass it. So Raymond is indeed passed out because he has been masturbating too much lately. He actually bought a fleshlight, and so
oh my God,
too much pleasure.
Speaking of a fleshlight.
Oh God, Dewey's gonna bust one out.
No. I went to the Renaissance Fair last weekend. And we stayed to see the Tortuga Twins, their rated R show. I've never laughed so hard in my life. Like, that was so funny. They just made everyone so uncomfortable that it was hilarious. Like, so they have this, like, 12-year-old boy that they just went out to the audience. Like, they went out in the audience, found him, and they were standing in front of him, talking to him about how much he masturbates. And he's kind of like trying to deny it. And he's like, "You're a 12-year-old boy. You're just discovering this. Trust me. We know you masturbate a lot." And just like making him as uncomfortable as possible. And it was hilarious. Like, I mean, he was being a good sport about it. And then later on in the show, they go out into the audience and they find these two gorgeous women, like, holy crap. And they take them, the two women, and they sit them side by, like, right next to this boy, the 12-year-old boy. And they take their hands, they like put them on his leg and everything like that. And they're saying like, this is gonna be a day to remember. This could be one of the best days of your life and everything like that, and have him kiss his cheek and everything like that. And it was just so funny at how uncomfortable everyone was.
Well, how was he reacting to that?
He was just kind of sitting there being kind of like, however a 12-year-old boy would be. He wasn't like being all like, hey, these are my bitches now. Just, just kind of really embarrassed, but, obviously thoroughly enjoying it.
How would you react?
Phew. Well, somebody could say I was sitting next to some very gorgeous women myself, but, I don't know. If it was at that time, they did other things. Like there was this guy that was sitting pretty close to us that they went and they'd like fully make out with him, like the Tortuga twins. And these guys are not the prettiest people to look at, but it was just I don't know. I don't know how it would depend on what they did. If it was the two girls, I'd be like this is pretty nice.
So, wait, are these girls employees of
Nope,
the show?
they are just people.
That affects then how I would react. So
they were playing along really well. Like one of them had reacted to the dude went out in the crowd and was asking him and had fully made out with every single one of the twins and the members and just she was really into the show and playing along completely.
So my instinct of how I would react would be, they would sit down, right, put their arms around me or whatever, get very close to me, and I would probably make a face like this, like something stinks, and then I would lift up one of their arms, smell their armpit, and then I would just shoot back, like, oh my god, and just try to make it as awkward as I possibly could.
That would be interesting.
Otherwise, I would do something perverted.
Yeah, there was I don't know. It was a really good show. Parents, never bring your kids to that. There's this family, right? And before the show, they made it abundantly clear, do not have your kids here. This is a rated R show. Your kid, and then they picked on these kids. They would go over to the kids and they'd be like, "All right, so this is what sex means." And then they would tell the kid that to call their grandma a lesbian. Next time you talk to your grandma, make sure to call her a lesbian. And they would be like, all right, here's
what
how
if she is though.
Here's how you say polite, or here's how you say hello in other countries. And they'd be flicking off this is how you do it. Make sure kid, you do it. And then the kid would do it and just.
Okay, so Dewey, we're both straight, right?
Yes.
I have to verify with double check, even though you're talking about a girlfriend. If you were gay
mm-hmm.
and you were closeted,
mm-hmm.
do you think you would be able to be with a woman? To mask it, to hide it?
I don't know. Because sex feels so good. It's hard to imagine. I don't know.
Because I equated in the reverse.
It depends on
right?
it depends on the person. If I'm really good friends with that person and I don't know, I don't know. That's
so how I equate it here is if being straight was socially unacceptable or awkward,
mm-hmm.
and I needed to mask being straight by being gay, I could not have sex with a man to mask that.
True. Yeah, that's true.
So I'm just wondering if it's the same, if it's the reverse. So for a guy that's gay.
Well, could you? I mean, are you?
And
attracted?
he's with a girl. Is he disgust? How is he able to get aroused? So it's got to be different, because how is he able to be aroused and able to continue? You'd be disgusted.
I wouldn't say you're disgusted. I would. I mean, I can't speak. I shouldn't speak for the gay community because I don't really I'm not a part of that. I don't really know. But I would imagine that most of them are not disgusted by a naked female. It's not
well, I mean, I'm not if you flip that a naked guy, it's not oh my god, I can't look. It's not that disgusted. But if you're gonna start saying I need to penetrate his anus or have him do that to me, yeah, then I'm disgusted.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's how far you want to...
The reason why I brought that up is just because your grandma's a lesbian. So I'm the grandma could very well be a lesbian because it would have been socially unacceptable to be a lesbian back in her day. So she could just be closeted.
Sure. And it'd be fair, and just so everyone knows, neither me or Zach have any issue with any kind of orientation. You can be bi, you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be straight. I mean, if you start liking animals,
Transgender.
I'd start maybe drawing.
If you start
a
liking
line there.
animals, I'm gonna say that you need to find a way to get their consent first, and I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I just saw the Steam group. They did just release that actually.
What are the stats?
It's sorry, Steam community is currently unavailable. Please try again.
That's a fantastic stat. That's going to be what the Steam box is like. You turn it on and it's going to be, sorry, Steam community is not available currently. Try again later.
But yeah. Any other questions?
The real question is, do you go dry? Oh my god, why did I start talking about sex?
What the fuck is... I'm gonna seem very innocent here, but what the fuck does "do you go dry" mean?
Well, I can't imagine. I don't know how they're referring to us. It's a woman.
Do you go dry? Is that like, do I insert my penis into dry vaginas? Is that?
Oh, is that what it's?
I don't know. I have no idea. Please explain that question.
Is it? Wait, is it? Are they talking about homosexual stuff? Like, do you go dry and not use lube? I don't imagine that would work out pleasantly anal without lube. This is the after. This is the after
Yeah,
show where we talk about the inappropriate sexual stuff, which is why we have the strongest viewership we've had the whole time.
my like it's very difficult to put me out of a comfort zone. Although people like Zach could probably do it pretty easily, but that's because they know me very well. But when you're talking about sex, at least, like, there's very little that I will not, well, I mean, not disclose. Like, I'm not going to start disclosing personal information or anything like that. But I won't talk about it. Like, it's all whatever. Everyone at the media house has had sex.
Wait, is this how we end it? This
Talking
topic?
Yeah, whatever.